how the Crawford County Sheriff's Department is dealing with the continued increase in fuel prices. I'm Jalen Banks with more on the story.
The Federal Reserve takes historic action to tackle surging inflation. I'm Malda Rivera in Washington with reaction to the Fed's latest interest rate hike coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan AUBEY. Authorities find a body in their search for a missing man in Shoals Creek at Grand Falls. Water rescue teams searched for several hours last evening, then resumed the search this morning with crews using boats on depth sonar to check the river. The body was recovered around 6:20 this evening. It's not yet confirmed if the body is that of a missing man. Webb City, Missouri man is dead after an overnight motorcycle crash in Joplin. Police say 28-year-old Juan Gabriel Gonzalez Carrera was riding a motorcycle at a high rate of speed at the intersection of Zora and Range Line. A car coming from the opposite direction was making a left turn. The motorcycle hit the car. Gonzalez Carrera later passed away at the hospital. Doug Caddy joining us now. Firstly, the forecast. What else can you say, man? It's just another hot day, right?
Yeah, it really is. Temperatures, once again, they climbed into the 80s to near 90. Heat indices well into the 90s during the afternoon. Actual high 88, 79 is where we started during the morning hours. And we have been watching some thunderstorms just to our north, just to our northwest, as we have been going through the evening hours. Really not moving much, so dropping very heavy amounts of rain. So just to the northwest of Yates Center. We'll see if any of these can get into our northern counties as we go through really the next few hours. Of course, I'm going to break that down for you here in just a bit.
Doug, thank you. Parts of Yellowstone National Park have been closed down and evacuated because of heavy flooding there. Look at that. A couple of people who stuck around, though, are a brother and sister from Carl Junction. Caleb and Tatum Graham both work at the Old Faithful Inn. They say, well, the area they're at has not been affected too badly. The damage elsewhere has still impacted them.
Yeah, we're going to stay. The employees who work in Mammoth have all been evacuated to where we are. So the dining room is expected to open again, hopefully next week. But it's going to be at limited capacity just for the safety of the roads and structures in the park. Thankfully,
there have been no reported deaths caused by all this flooding. Well, the rising cost of fuel is taking a toll on all of us, and that includes law enforcement. It's a budgeting problem. Higher than expected expense at the pumps is forcing some departments to make adjustments. KOAM's Jalen Banks reports.
The Crawford County Sheriff's Department has seen a 60% increase in fuel spending this year. And with the prices continuing to rise, they're expecting their costs to go up even more.
This time last year in May, our fuel bill was just a little under $11,000 for that month, so it was about $10,700, and that was at a 263 average. Well, this May the average is $383, and it was a $16,000 bill. So, so we're seeing about a $6,000 from last time, this time last year.
The national average for gas has gone up to $5 a gallon, and the Kansas State average is up to $4.67. The Crawford County Sheriff's Department is expecting their fuel bill for the month of June to be $20,000, which would be double from a year ago. The department has no current plans to reduce services because of the fuel cost.
No, we're still operating like we usually operate. There's just, with our calls and patrol, and we're a pretty big county road-wise, so I don't feel comfortable doing anything to reduce our services because of the fuel prices. So I think that we still need to be out there patrolling and running traffic and responding to calls.
In Crawford County, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
As of today, AAA reporting the Kansas gas price average is $4.67 a gallon. Over in Missouri, it's $4.68. Oklahoma, $4.66, in Arkansas, $4.54. I guess some reason to be thankful here. In all 4 states, it is below still the national average, which sits right now at $5.01. Another impact of the rising fuel prices, a potential uptick in gas thefts. The Cherokee County, Kansas Sheriff says while they have not seen many of those thefts yet, thefts typically increase when prices increase. So there are some tips to help protect yourself. One is getting one of those gas caps with a lock on it. Those usually cost less than $20.
Gas prices have risen and fallen over the several years. When they do spike, we see a correlation of theft of motor fuel, and so we've seen that in the past, and that's why we're trying to get ahead of it a little bit and just remind residents to take those precautions so that they don't become victims of theft.
Another tip, another reminder is to park in a well-lit area at night, and if possible, park in front of a security camera. Federal Reserve taking a bold move as it tries to rein in those surging prices. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in D.C. with more details on the Fed's latest rate hike.
Today, the Federal Open Market Committee raised its policy interest rate by 0.75 percentage point.
It's the largest rate hike since 1994, a sign the Federal Reserve is struggling to curb inflation, still holding stubbornly steady at a 40-year high. Wednesday's increase will make interest on anything from car loans to mortgages more expensive, as the Fed aggressively tries to cool spending.
We're strongly committed to returning inflation to our 2% objective. Against the backdrop of the rapidly evolving economic environment,
but the move could also slow economic growth. The S&P 500 dove into a bear market territory this week, a dramatic sell-off of stocks with investors rattled about a potential recession.
Economists are very bad at predicting recessions, but I think the Fed has a decent chance, a reasonable chance, of achieving what Jay Powell calls a softish landing.
Still, the Fed is struggling to regain the trust of those who've criticized it for moving too slowly.
I do think probably the Federal Reserve was a little late in starting to raise interest rates, probably overly focused on maximum employment and losing sight of the inflationary concerns out there.
However, some are blaming President Biden and Democratic spending for the country's red-hot economy.
It's a scary time right now, and wages are not keeping up with inflation.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says a 50 or 75 basis point rate hike is likely at the Fed's July meeting, but they'll continue to assess the economy before making a final decision. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Even with surging inflation, experts project an increase in back-to-school retail sales that could surpass pre-pandemic levels. MasterCard Spending Pulse projects retail sales from mid-July through Labor Day to grow 7.5% compared to the same period last year. Compared to 2019, sales are anticipated to be up 18.3%. Anticipated back-to-school retail sales between July 14th and September 15th are expected to drive the department store sector up 13% compared to a year ago. Could Congress be inching closer to a vote on a piece of gun control legislation? Well, first, it needs to be written. But there are a couple of items in the last weekend's announced framework deal in the Senate that are holding up. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard explains from D.C.
It's a lift. I don't know how heavy it is.
How hard will it be to get a gun control bill across the finish line in Congress? Well, a bipartisan group of senators continue to work out last sticking points on the framework deal.
What a triumph to get a framework agreement with 20 Democrats and Republicans. And I know that we're going to be able to work through these issues, get something to our colleagues and vote on it, hopefully next week.
The bill would increase background checks for those under 21, place restrictions on convicted domestic abusers. It would increase mental health and school safety funding, and also encourage states to pass red flag laws, which worries some Republicans.
I don't like the framework, particularly because of the red flags. I don't think that we should be spending taxpayer dollars to encourage states to take away weapons from law-abiding taxpayers and U.S. citizens.
They say states that use other programs to promote safety should also be eligible for funding. The bill is expected to have a hefty price tag.
We found a way to offset it with other funds.
Republican leader Mitch McConnell says he supports the deal, meaning it should pass the Senate. But many Democrats say the bill doesn't go far enough.
There are a lot of juveniles who have mental health issues. We should be able to flag those with red flag laws so that they don't. We're not giving weapons to those with mental illness issues.
The Senate begins their 4th of July recess next weekend. If this framework falls apart, there are bipartisan concerns momentum for the bill may fizzle out until the next mass shooting. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
KOM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. James Robinson served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 46. Native of Hallowell, Kansas, Robinson was stationed in Japan, among other places, earning 3 battle stars and an air medal with 2 oak leaf clusters. We are proud to thank and salute Corporal James Robinson. He's tonight's four-state hero. Doug Heddy's next We have the complete look at the forecast, and later in sports, Pitt State football hosting a prospect camp.
Well, it definitely turned out to be another warm, humid day for us today. High temps, upper 80s to near 90 degrees. And of course, our heat indices, they were up there, mid, some areas upper 90s at times as we drifted through the afternoon hours. But temperatures a little bit cooler today compared to what we had yesterday, but they're going to creep right back up as we go into the next couple days. Outside, still warm. Most of us 80, 82, 83 degrees. Will only drop back into the mid 70s for us a little bit later on tonight. It's also been windy. We've had these southerly winds all day long at about 10 to 20 gusts, a little bit higher than that. So it's staying a little bit on the breezy side as we go through the evening hours. Heat indices still 915 into the upper 80s to near 90. A lot of clouds. 7th and range line 83. South at about 10. Humidity is at 74%. We've been watching a little cluster of thunderstorms just to our north. Really throughout the evening hours, there is a severe thunderstorm watch just north of the region. All of us are dry. We are seeing the clouds across the region, but look at this storm. He's barely moved really over the past couple hours, so it's dropped several inches of rain, a lot of thunder, a lot of lightning. So if we zoom in, here's Woodson County. So this is only about 10 miles northwest of Yates Center. It just really hasn't been moving. It's kind of slowly drifting off toward the east. However, northern Woodson County, northern Allen County, this cluster may try to sneak into the northern parts of the counties. Besides that, I think everybody is pretty good because this line will start to fall apart, but you can see it extends northeast all the way into northern parts of Illinois, then up toward Milwaukee, and then into the Great Lakes. All right, let's go through time over the next few hours. Still those storms, northern counties, never really advancing into the region, and then they finally die out. A couple little guys trying to pop up late tonight into the morning hours. Still a lot of clouds sticking around tonight into tomorrow, near 90 by noon. Partly sunny skies, mid 90s tomorrow, so it's going to be a hotter day. Those heat indices are going to be out there during the afternoon. A few more thunderstorms again, northern parts of Missouri tomorrow night, mainly staying north of the region, so most of us are going to stay dry. You can see they can try to sneak in, and then they can really never make it here. And then by Friday, back into the mid 90s during the afternoon, with again, a very slight chance we could see a pop-up thunderstorm. Heat indices tomorrow, drink plenty of water. If you're going to be outside, about 105 to 107, much of the same as we head into Friday afternoon. So really the heat, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it gets hotter the next few days. 93 tomorrow, 96 on Friday, 94 Saturday, 92 on Father's Day. Mainly dry, just a random little pop-up storm, very typical summer-like pattern.
Dangerous conditions outside though, like you said.
Yeah, when you get into the heat indices well above 100.
Yeah. Like you said, drink plenty of water and take breaks if you're going to be outside.
Yep.
See you in a little bit. Thanks so much, Joe. Coming up, the recent mass shooting in upstate New York.
The Buffalo supermarket shooter is now facing new federal charges. I'm David Spunt at the Justice Department. That story coming up.
More than 40 years since that happened. President Ronald Reagan was shot and nearly killed as he left conference at the Washington Hilton. Today, the man who pulled the trigger, John Hinckley Jr., right there, is free, having been granted unconditional release from court-appointed psychiatric supervision. Hinckley, by the way, is 67 years old. The gunman who killed 10 black people in a racist attack at a Buffalo supermarket was charged today with federal hate crimes. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has more now from the Justice Department in Washington.
His goal was to, quote, kill as many blacks as possible.
The feds are going after the Buffalo supermarket shooter. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced new charges against the man responsible for a racially motivated mass shooting that left 10 dead and a city in mourning. The gunman has already been charged with the murders in New York State Court and was facing a mandatory life sentence if convicted. But now he's also facing federal hate crimes charges and could potentially get the death penalty.
We will be relentless in our efforts to combat hate crimes and to hold accountable those who perpetrate them.
Federal officials said from the early days of the investigation, they considered hate crimes charges, citing the mountain of evidence showing the shooting was motivated by racist ideology, including notes written by the gunman counting the number of black people he saw at the supermarket.
He selected a target in this zip code because it has the highest percentage of black people close enough to where he lives.
Garland announced the charges during a visit to Buffalo on Wednesday. He visited a memorial at the supermarket before meeting with families of the victims and local officials. They say hate crimes charges will go a long way toward healing a city still in shock.
It was a moment that changed our community forever.
The gunman pleaded not guilty to state charges in this case, but it's still unclear how he'll respond to the new federal charges filed. At the Department of Justice, David Spunt, Fox News.
Still ahead, COVID shots for kids.
Another big day for FDA advisors as they review COVID vaccines for the youngest children. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
The Department of Justice says more than $1 billion in COVID relief money, more than $1 billion was lost to fraudulent activity. Officials say efforts to investigate the fraud cases have resulted in criminal charges against nearly 1,500 people. Those cases cover more than $1.1 billion in losses as of March of this year. Millions more Americans could soon become eligible for those COVID-19 shots. Today, the FDA's advisors debated vaccines for the youngest Americans. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has more.
The U.S. is moving closer to COVID vaccinations for all ages. Today, FDA advisors reviewed Moderna's and Pfizer's kid-size formulas for children as young as 6 months old. The panel voted to recommend the shots, helping pave the way for 18 million more Americans to get vaccinated.
For those parents who choose to do so, especially those parents of kids with underlying conditions, this is a choice they should have.
Both drug makers say their vaccines prove safe in clinical trials. Moderna's 2-shot series was about 40 to 50% effective at preventing mild COVID in the younger age group. Pfizer bumped its series up to 3 doses in order to increase protection during the Omicron wave.
Efficacy in the all-available population against Omicron rises to 80.3% overall.
The Biden administration has been preparing for approval by ordering millions of doses. Doctors' offices are getting ready to administer the shots as early as next week. But health experts say the challenge will be convincing skeptical parents the vaccines are safe. Doctors cite an increasing number of hospitalizations and deaths during Omicron as reasons why protecting the youngest Americans is critical.
Unfortunately, infants and young children can and do die with COVID. This is a tremendous burden of disease.
An advisory panel for the CDC meets later this week to discuss COVID vaccines for this younger age group. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
All right, next, one gas station worker's big, huge mistake, if you want to call it that got customers excited about the price of fuel. California gas station manager is fired after accidentally selling gas at 69 cents a gallon instead of $6.99. Now, come on. I think nearly all of us have made this mistake at a math test, say, in school. This is just, wow. Happened at a Shell gas station in Rancho Cordova in Sacramento County earlier this week. The man says it was all a terrible mistake made after he put the decimal in the wrong spot. The price glitch was up for several hours, though. Cost the station more than $16,000 in losses.
So I just took responsibility for it, and I said, yeah, it's my fault. And
man is now trying to fix his mistake. He started a GoFundMe in hopes to pay back the gas station for the losses. He's also now searching for a new job, obviously. Part of me is like, yeah, power to the people, man, The other part of me is like, money was lost. This guy lost his job. God bless him, though, for trying to make things right? Still a good story to tell his grandkids someday. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. How a lifeguard shortage is impacting some area pools.
We're learning more about the fast spread of the new monkeypox outbreak and the actions that health officials are planning to take. In London, I'm Alex Hogan with more on this coming up.
Low price.
Kansas universities, including Pittsburgh State University, will not see a rise in tuition this year. The Kansas Board of Regents today approved flat tuition at all 6 of the state's universities. In a statement, board chair thanked Kansas Governor Laura Kelly and legislators for providing the funding to keep those tuition rates the same. As you might imagine, on a hot day like today, Joplin's Schifferdecker Pool is busy. It might be even more busy because the pool at Cunningham Park is currently closed because of a lifeguard shortage. About 100 lifeguards are required to operate the city's 3 pools, but the city is currently well short of that. They need about 30 more lifeguards to open the Cunningham Pool.
Lifeguards is one position out of a lot of positions that the city's struggling to fill, and it does mean, unfortunately, a reduction of service to our citizens.
Joplin's starting pay for lifeguards is $10.30 an hour. Mercy Hospital celebrates a big milestone after a heart procedure. Mercy Joplin recently completed their 100th Watchman implant. Watchman is a device that treats atrial fibrillation that is not caused by a heart valve problem. Watchman is also considered as an alternative to blood thinners. Today, they are recognizing the patient who received this implant.
Have the Watchman. That means that I won't have a stroke, and that makes me really happy. And I can also, at some point, in about 6 months, maybe get off the blood thinners. All in all, it's definitely worth looking at for anyone that has AFib.
Watchman implant is about the size of a quarter. With the warm weather outside, why not cool down with some water aerobics? Every Monday and Wednesday, the Pittsburgh Aquatic Center hosts its Aqua Salsa class. Aqua Salsa brings an opportunity to anyone who wants to learn to dance or anyone who loves to dance. Class is open to anyone. Even the instructor has received some great reviews.
And we are having fun because we combine the music with the water, so you can do the rhythm and your own intensity.
Aqua Salsa starts at 9:15 a.m., goes until 10 a.m. After more than 2 years of the pandemic, many Americans are getting bit by that travel bug, but the itch to resume their jet-setting ways hitting some speed bumps as airlines jack up those ticket costs, causing bookings to dip. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork has a closer look.
Airlines are facing some travel trouble, with soaring ticket prices causing bookings to nosedive as customers ask what happened to the friendly skies.
Ticket prices have gone up about, according to AUBEY, 47% since January.
According to the research firm Adobe Digital Insights, bookings for domestic flights fell by 2.3% between April and May, a small but worrisome decline. But it doesn't mean Americans don't want to fly.
We are back to about 90% of the number of people who were flying before the pandemic.
For many, it's just getting too expensive as airlines are forced to raise ticket prices to combat surging fuel costs.
Jet fuel is roughly double what it was before the pandemic.
And that's not all. Persisting pilot shortages are also leading to an influx in cancellations and prompting airlines to offer fewer flights.
We got more people chasing fewer seats, and that's going to push prices up.
With analysts speculating the lack of pilots is partially due to the lifestyle becoming increasingly unattractive.
Being at the mercy of an airline telling you where you will live, when you will go to work, where you will fly.
And the fact is, things could get even more turbulent. Management consulting company Oliver Wyman estimates the U.S. could be short roughly 12,000 pilots by next year. I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
There could soon be a shortage of an item many people use to cook, olive oil. Yeah, another one of these stories. Olive oil has been facing issues because of the fast spread of an olive tree-killing bacteria that has been killing trees in Italy for several years in key regions responsible for the world's olive oil supply. Taken from this, a business owner in Italy says the bacteria has affected about 50% of olive oil manufacturing in the last 5 years. A healthy plant-based diet is linked to a 14% lower breast cancer risk in postmenopausal women. That's according to a French study of more than 65,000 women. That diet consists of whole grains, fruit, veggies, and nuts. Researchers also found unhealthy plant-based diets raised breast cancer risk by 20%. World Health Organization creating a new vaccine sharing mechanism to help stop the spiraling outbreak of monkeypox in more than 30 countries. Fox News correspondent Alex Hogan has more now from London.
Health officials around the world are working to contain the monkeypox outbreak. The disease is spreading quickly, and the CDC says there are now more than 1,800 confirmed cases in at least 35 countries, including the U.S. But Europe by far remains the epicenter, with more than 85% of the global total. Now, the World Health Organization says there's new evidence this monkeypox strain is being transmitted sexually.
There are some patients among whom have had semen tested for virus and come back positive, so that's something that we're looking at.
The European Union responded by purchasing more than 100,000 doses of monkeypox vaccine, a move it says is unprecedented.
This is the first time we're using the EU budget to respond to a health emergency and to directly purchase vaccines for member states against monkeypox.
But that strategy could run counter to WHO guidelines, with the agency urging health officials not to stockpile vaccines, especially with supplies already running low.
There currently are limited amounts of vaccines. Mass vaccination is not recommended or needed at this time.
The WHO also recommends against canceling big events like concerts and parades, saying that more lockdowns are not necessary. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
A bit later, combating climate change.
Reversing the effects of climate change could be magical. I'm Marianne Rafferty with a look at how magic is teaching people about saving the planet. Coming up.
Welcome back. Time now for the weather forecast.
Well, it turned out to be another warm, humid day for us today. Upper 80s to near 90 across the region. We're still sitting into lower 80s right now, and it looks like as we go through the evening hours, our temperatures, they're going to slowly drop back into the 70s over the next few hours. Southerly winds kind of keeping those temps up just a bit. South winds 10 to about 20 miles per hour. So at least the winds have diminished a little bit, but we still have a little bit of a heat index. It feels like upper 80s to near 90 degrees. Going outside, 7th range line, sitting at 83, south winds at about 10, humidity at about 74%. And you can look across the region. Most of us have been dry. We've had a lot of mid and upper level clouds, but look at that little cluster of thunderstorms. Just northwest of the region, barely moving, kind of sagging off toward the south and to the east. It's had some very large hail, a lot of lightning. You can actually see the lightning from all the way back toward the south and to the east. Even has had some mid-level, low-level rotation with it at times. But just northwest of our region, here's Yates Center. Still see a severe thunderstorm warning on it, and it's kind of sinking off toward the south and to the east. So we do need to watch to see if it gets into northern parts of Woodson County as we get through about the next 30 to 45 minutes, because this thing's not really moving. Now, eventually it's going to weaken and die, but it still may have a couple more hours of life to it, dropping very heavy amounts of rain just to the north of Eureka in Greenwood County. So something we want to keep our eyes on, even though it's on the outskirts of our region. It's flirting with us over the past couple hours, and then showers, thunderstorms extend all the way up into parts of Wisconsin, where there's been plenty of severe weather. All right, so that cluster kind of dies later on tonight. Scattered thunderstorms in our northern counties. A few hit and miss guys late tonight, but in general, 90% of you will stay dry tonight. Heat up near 90 by noon. I think most of us mid-90s during the afternoon, so a hotter day than what we did see today. Heat indices are going to be up there as well. Partly cloudy. Tomorrow night, thunderstorms erupt northern parts of Missouri. Again, stay north of us, but a few of these may try to sneak into our northern counties late tomorrow night into Friday morning, and a slight chance for an isolated thunderstorm again as we head into Friday afternoon. As the temperatures go up and the humidity is in place, so do the heat indices. Heat indices 105 to 110 tomorrow. They're going to be 100 to 105 by the time we head into Friday evening. So if you are going to be outside, of course, very typical, but drink plenty of water this time of year. 93 tomorrow, 96 Friday, 94 Saturday, 92 on Sunday. So we hold into lower 90s by the time we head all the way through next week.
Good day for Father's Day.
Yeah, Father's Day looking pretty good. 92, partly sunny.
Okay, thanks as always, man. All right, coming up in sports, Joplin Outlaws aiming to bounce back against Jeff City, plus more than 100 local athletes attending a Pitt State football prospect camp. Danny Terzer has the story next.
Pitt State football hosted a prospect camp this afternoon. It's the first of 2 this summer. Over 100 high school athletes spent the afternoon with the Pitt State coaching staff for a prospect camp.
I think we saw some future gorillas out there today.
The athletes had the opportunity to learn and showcase their skills.
It's a big thing that I increased on today was definitely my technique and my form, as well as running around hard and getting out my breaks. So I really feel like I got better today.
And the coaching staff evaluated the local talent.
Obviously, we're looking for good athletes. We're looking for guys that are strong and that can move and run and change direction, and then guys that love football and they work hard and they finish the drills out here. They pay attention to details and they're coachable.
Our offense, we're not going to throw the ball 30 times a game, so kind of get out here and kind of try and spread it out and throw a little bit. It's always good. Just kind of get out and kind of showcase what I've been working on the past couple months and get out, see some competition, and kind of feel the coaches out and see what they think.
These in-person interactions are a key part of the recruiting process.
We want to see guys live too, and we want to be able to work with them in a live situation. And it's really important for me, coaching the quarterbacks, to see how a ball comes out of a guy's hand and so forth. And our coaches at other positions get the same kind of evaluation live.
The energy here is different. That's one thing I like about Pitt State is all the coaches, no matter how their day going, anything, right when these players get out here, their level of intensity, everything just goes straight through the roof.
But today is not only about what you can do on the football field, it's also about creating relationships.
First of all, it's just getting them here on campus, showing them our beautiful facilities and what we have to offer. And then even more than that is just making that connection with the coaches and getting to know the guys.
My biggest thing of playing at the next level is connection, and that's what I feel like Pitt State has the most.
The second and final prospect camp of the summer is on July 15th. The Joplin Outlaws are back in Jefferson City tonight taking on the Renegades. The season series is split at 1 game apiece. Joplin plates 2 runs in the 6th tonight, and that score holds. The Outlaws pick up a win on the road and return home to host the Renegades tomorrow. Kansas City and San Francisco meet for the series finale. The Royals trying to avoid a sweep tonight. They hang on to win 3-2. Bobby Witt Jr. goes 2 for 4 with a run scored. The Cardinals host the final game of a 4-game set with the Pirates. Pittsburgh took the lead in the 7th. It's 6-4 in the 8th right now. That's it for sports. We're back after this.
Walking with hiking poles improves functional capacity in people with heart disease when compared to with other cardiovascular exercise. That's according to a study in the Canadian Journal of Cardiology. Walking with poles is called Nordic walking, and it works the upper and lower body, engages the core, and reduces stress on those knees. Like a bad magic act, climate change is causing animal species and critical water resources to disappear from the earth. But the crisis is inspiring an actual magician to use her skills to teach kiddos about how to save the planet. Fox News correspondent Marianne Rafferty has more on that, plus how a group of engineers pulling a few tricks from their own sleeves to create a device that turns thin air into water.
For many of us, it's easy to take having access to clean drinking water for granted. But others aren't so lucky. According to the Worldwide Fund for Nature, roughly 1.1 billion people worldwide lack access to water, with almost 3 billion facing water scarcity for at least 1 month out of the year.
Water scarcity and the depletion of underground water are increasing due to climate change.
The crisis is prompting researchers in the North African country of Tunisia to establish unique solutions, like this machine called the Cumulus, which turns thin air into safe, drinkable water, with just one Cumulus machine capable of making roughly 5 to 8 gallons per day.
We see that the air enters from here and passes through the first air filter to clean it from pollutants. It then goes into the machine to cool down the water, so we replicate dew.
And while what the Cumulus does might seem like magic, Over in England, magician Megan Swan is using her skills to entertain the masses while educating them about the dangers of climate change. Swan spends time at schools performing magic tricks she's crafted to address topics ranging from pollution, habitat destruction, biodiversity loss, and more.
I design them in ways that when you're thinking about the trick and what happened, it helps you to remember the message.
Climate activists like Swan hope their messages are heard before time runs out, as officials at the WWF warn 2/3 of the entire global population could face water shortages by 2025. Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Details on Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 2, Hollywood Nation, coming up. A record-breaking survival drama is being turned into a reality competition series. Popular daytime talk show is coming to an end, and more. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin with the latest from the Hollywood Nation.
Picks from the Upside Down. BTS takes a break, and Squid Games comes to life in the Hollywood Nation. Netflix greenlit a new Squid Game reality competition series. Squid Game The Challenge will feature 456 contestants playing games for a record-setting $4.56 million reward. A release date is TBA. Season 2 of the survival drama was also just announced.
Was it honestly the best?
For the first time in their 9-year career, BTS is going solo. The K-pop supergroup made the announcement during a live stream of their dinner party Tuesday, sharing feelings of being burned out and wanting to focus on their individual projects. But they reassured fans that they would be returning.
It's the Wendy Williams Show.
The Wendy Williams Show is officially ending after 13 seasons. The final episode will air Friday and will include a video tribute to the daytime talk show host. Williams, who has been absent from the 13th season due to ongoing health issues, will not be part of the last episode.
I relocated you guys far from Hawkins.
In today's First Looks, images from Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 2. Netflix released 6 photos that give a sneak peek at the last 2 episodes of the season.
Maybe I can still help you.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with nature photos taken by viewers like you on this Nature Photography Day. Beautiful photos, too. Thanks for sending them our way. Hey, be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.